What's up, guys? This is Little John from Stumpy's. We're here filming our first episode of MotoMouth. MotoMouth is the #1 source for all things New Jersey, all things motocross. I'm here with Frank Lettieri and Cory Bergler, two guys that are definitely members of the action sports community. We're going to do a little bit of an intro about what the show's about and all things to expect from this show. First things first, I would like to introduce Frankie. Frankie's been a guy that I've known for what now? At least, God, I'm going to say...
It's got to be 17 years.
It's at least 17, 18 years. I've known your father way before. I remember when you were on 50s and you had about the same mentality and you come in the store running around. I'm at, what am I? How old are you? I'm 27, you're what, 20?
I'm 25.
25. So I was 2 years older than you, but I remember watching, like, when your dad would come in looking up parts, you literally would run around this place. And it's cool all these years later to have you on a KTM and have you doing some stuff for us, and we appreciate it. All right, Frankie, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and where you are today?
Frankie, I'm 25 years old. I've been racing dirt bikes since I was 4. I spent my whole life just traveling around with my parents, going racing, and trying to make something out of this dirt bike thing. But you know, things didn't really go the way I thought, and I kind of stopped.
Well, let's go back to when we were younger. In your eyes, what was your biggest accomplishment at such a young age that really let you know that motocross was going to be something you were going to continue the path of?
I can't really say that it was an accomplishment that made me think I was going to continue the path. You know, it's just something that I always loved to do. I just kind of love that freedom of riding my bike and being able to travel to all these different places. And I feel like all my friends were at the track growing up. You know, I really wasn't hanging out with too many friends from school. You know, I have a couple buddies, but I don't know, I was just stuck in that kind of moto realm where I just wanted to
just ride every day.
Yeah, and just be surrounded by dirt bikes. You know, it's really just what I'm into.
That makes sense. And I think that's what kind of has gotten everybody into motocross. I mean, even Cory's a BMX rider, he's a BMX professional, but you've always gravitated towards motorcycles as well. I mean, how far back for you for motocross? I mean, for dirt bike riding, how old were you when you started?
I mean, my thing with dirt bikes is I was into it
From day one.
Yeah, basically. But
like all of us.
My parents couldn't afford the dirt bike, let alone like the racing scene and all that. And so I had the option to do BMX racing. So I started out with that, and then I always just like jumping no matter what. And I can remember being at the track, like doing clinics, and like the pros are telling me, like, dude, like, stay low, like, speed's key, and I'm like, no, I just want to jump, like, I just want to do some tricks. And
so that was Frankie's. That was the opposite. Frankie's dad, I remember growing up, you know, the few times Frankie was on another level when I got into racing. I mean, you had amateur Suzuki helping you out, you had Cold Grass helping you out, you had all these guys were like, it was like watching like almost like a little Pastrana, because he wasn't allowed to do some certain things. And I remember, like, we'd be getting the track watered and working with Frankie's dad, and he'd be all pissed off because Frankie just wants to hit jumps. Like, that's all Frankie ever wanted to do. And his dad, like, he doesn't get it. He doesn't get it. And who was it? It was Josh Grant, jump for show, corner for dough. Yeah, and your dad always used to say that to me.
Now, it's funny they used to say that, you know.
But now you're jumping for dough. Yeah,
so
exactly. Now you're jumping for dough. And, like, yeah, there's guys out there making a living racing motocross, but, like, your prime as an amateur, you know, and speaking to your father, you guys did very well for yourselves. That's not possible nowadays.
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Like, I wish, you know, I could still race. You know, I like the competition. I like the whole rush from racing. But it's like, I feel like so much energy and money really goes into it just to race, and
there's no enjoyment.
The enjoyment level drops, but then there's really not the reward you think either, you know. I can remember growing up and thinking, I can't wait to turn pro and make money riding dirt bikes. It's gonna be sick. And you know, I make my first pro race at Southwick in 2011, and I got 18th in the 450 class. I think I made like $400 or $500.
You could
like,
win a local racing.
It's stupid. Like, oh, I'm a self-proclaimed professional who doesn't make any money, so it's not a profession. It's just a hobby, and that's kind of
that's when it's to make a break point hits. You got to figure something out.
That's where I was kind of just like, you know, I'm not gonna race for money. It's not really what I thought. So I'm gonna continue riding my dirt bike. I'm gonna keep having fun with it, and I'll have to figure something else out. And it just so happened that things have kind of worked out this last year and come around. And I really never imagined it. You know, I've been having more fun on my bike than I ever have, and it kind of shows. You know, I've been a lot happier too.
You have been, and that's what I like about motorcycles in general. I mean, obviously, I grew up in it. You know, my family owns a store, and I had no choice but motorcycles and motocross. But that's the common ground I like. Where, see, me, I grew up with two separate spectrums. I, for a young age, always rode motorcycles. We had a track behind the shop here, and that was what I loved to do. But like in the same fashion, where like Cory wanted to do motocross, I wanted to do BMX, and it wasn't until I was about 11, 12 years old that I got into it, started going to Incline Club, met Cory, met Scotty, met all these guys, and like they looked at me like, wow, motorcycles, I'm like, no, BMX is where it's at, like that's what I want to do. And I spent so many years trying to get into I got into BMX. I can't say it was good. I had fun. To me it was about having fun. It was something different than motocross, but I think the biggest common ground about it is the sport. Exactly. You know, like
same thing for me too.
I didn't take motocross serious. I always rode. I started racing in 2006. It was fun. It was something else to do on the bike. But like you're saying, that my getaway was a skate park. Like,
yeah,
I
it was
loved
an outlet,
going
you know,
to do that.
You just needed a day off, because for you motocross was work. For me,
I wouldn't say work.
But you know, it
was
like
something.
Your job at the time. It's
Well,
something that you take
for me,
serious.
definitely not. For him, yeah, me though, the difference was, I think in my head, I wanted to take racing further. I never put the work in for it. I would go to the track, hang out, BS, never trained, never went to the gym, never ate right. I did all right. I did all right. I had fun with it, but I think that's like with the whole topic of this show is to show that, you know, here's a kid who wanted to make professional motocross his outlet, and then here's a kid who made BMX his outlet and made well with it. But we always had, like, BMX was never huge.
Yeah, but it's so cool. Like, I wish I had a crossover like that. Like, for you being such a shredder at BMX and then just hopping into the moto and hitting the ramp and whatever. Like, that's so
I'll
sick
give
to
you
me.
credit for that. I always talk about people that
He
think
followed me
that
right over that
because,
thing.
dude, that's what it amazes me about just bike sports in general is you get an understanding of how two wheels underneath you work. And there's a lot of people that think like, oh, well, I've done this on a bicycle and I can get on this and hit this jump and learn this jump in a matter of a year and I'll be a professional freestyler. You having the dedication in BMX, you know the hard work it takes. You're venturing into freestyle moto now, but you're not coming in like, yeah, I can do this on my bike. I'll do it. It'll take me a year.
Oh, dude, it took.
But the fact that
I
you
sat
got in
next
that
to the
jump in
landing.
like 30 minutes was like when he started showing me the videos and talking about it, I'm like, yeah, I've never hit a super kicker because I just have no business doing that. And then here's a kid who has a livelihood of BMX.
Less time than all of you on a moto bike.
Exactly. Like, you have a livelihood of, you get on your BMX bike, it pays you, it makes you money, and you're like, yeah, I'm going to throw caution, I'm going to jump this 70-foot gap.
Because it's
just
what
like
we
you had motocross as a hobby, yeah, and you're like, I can do it, and you did it. And that was the best part about it, is you actually did it to where now you have a landing, you have a ramp at your house, you have grab holes on your bike now. It's like, talk about, you know, you got to walk before you can crawl, or you got to crawl before you can walk. But you're jumping right into it, which that makes it, you know,
and
all the much cooler. You
and
know?
I've been seeing that more too. Like those guys like Foster, he's been getting into moto.
Yeah.
And I seen like guys like Javier from Freestyle Moto, he's getting into BMX. You know, it's just
Well,
just
it
good to
all
have that
comes
flow
down
and-
full circle, you
Yeah,
know.
it's
And there's a lot of guys now that, you know, look at guys like Deegan. He started out racing Supercross. You know, the infamous Ghost Ride at the Coliseum. He went from racing to freestyle. There's a lot of guys now that are going from freestyle, getting back into racing because it gives them a whole different set of bike skills. You know, look at where the sport's went in the last 10 years. When Pastrana did the first double backflip to now they're doing double front flip Supermans, and I mean the only thing next is
with
the
special kickers.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, but they need to incorporate now. They got to go back to Pastrana trying to do like a tail whip on the bike or a bar spin, come up with a bike like that again, because that's really
it's just elevated
the
so
next
far. It's
step.
crazy.
Well, speaking of freestyle and all this stuff and how we've all come about, the biggest thing, like I said, about the show is the New Jersey aspect of it. Growing up, I know there were spots we rode at. There were guys back then, Moto Pimps, Gangsta Hick, all those guys that really, in the last rebirth of freeride, you see some of those names again. You got Mark from Moto Pimps, who's out filming with you, and Bobby Jimenez, and Nick Desideri, and all those guys. What are, between both of you, because you see it from the BMX side, you see it from the moto side, where do you see this new rebirth of free riding and just moto going.
It's just a totally different scene. Like, I feel like when you go to the track, everything's so hostile. There's like cliques and everyone's kind of here, there.
Yeah.
Like, you're out in the hills riding with your friends. It's just totally different. Like, I met Raha this year when I was out in Cali. Like, I shoveled a jump out in the hills all day by myself, and I just hear rev limiter on like the other side of the mountain all day. And then when I finally got done, I started riding my jump, and I guess like he heard me on the other side of the hill. So he comes riding over the hill, and he's just, I'm like, I didn't even know who he was, you know?
Yeah.
He didn't have no stickers on his bike or nothing.
That should have gave it away.
He's rocking a t-shirt. He's rocking a t-shirt out in the hills. I'm like, yo, what up, dude? He's like, yo, I thought I heard some rev limiter over here. I was wondering who was out here. I was like, yeah, I heard you over here all day. He's like, dude, I just built this new jump. I was working on it all day. I was like, yo, I just built this new jump. I've been working on it all day.
Dude, what does my tattoo say? Sweet! What about mine? Dude, what does mine say? Sweet! What about mine? Dude, what does mine say? Sweet! What about mine? Dude, what does mine say? Sweet!
It was classic, yo. And then we just started riding together, and it was like, I don't know, I felt like I just
So
like I knew the dude already.
it seems like the West Coast vibe is coming over to the East Coast, because even too when you see you talk about the clicks and the camaraderie at the track. I know what you're talking about. There's times where you go to the track and 1 week these two are talking to their friends, and then something happens on the track, and it's like, first off, it's English now.
It's just everyone.
It's local
everyone's
stuff.
so
Let's relax.
competitive, like.
Exactly, but now you see, like, look at the camaraderie now, where you have someone like you and Cory, who you guys are pushing yourselves together with the skill sets you each have to make yourselves.
Yeah, but
it's a whole different. You wouldn't see someone like, let's go back to 2006 with Dan Foder. You wouldn't see someone like Dan Foder telling the kid in second how he's winning races. You wouldn't see that, but now you have someone like Cory who's saying to you, hey, I can help you with learning tricks, and you're saying, well, I can take you to places where we can hit ramps. The camaraderie in the freeride scene and what's happening in Jersey now in this outlet brings a much more positive vibe to motocross, and I feel like this is, in my eyes, the path that it's going to is it's going to bring back the community of it's not about what you do at the track, it's not about what races you're winning, it's about the time you're having on Saturday and Sunday with your friends. And the difference is, like I said, you don't go to the track and see the guy in first telling the guy in second how he got there, but you have two guys here that are saying, look, we both know how to do something on two different bikes, let's put these talents together and make the weekend even better, you know?
For sure, and that's it. Like, everyone just wants to help each other. It's like, you're at the track, you know, they don't want to see you do better than them.
Exactly.
So it's like,
we're in the hills, everybody, not the hills, just in the pits, everybody wants to see everyone get better.
Yeah, exactly.
It all makes sense.
It's a good time with your buddies, you know?
Exactly.
And I feel like that's why the progression of racing is kind of going down, because people don't want to help each other with riding, with practicing.
It's a factory mentality at the amateur level.
There's a few of us guys in Jersey that are good riders. You know, there's a few good riders in Jersey, and if everyone would have rode together and practiced together and helped each other, I feel like it could have been different. But the way
look at Muskin, Dungy, Anderson, Baggett, all them guys. They all rode and trained together, and it took the sport. It took their riding level to a different level, and it took the sport to a different level. It all makes sense, but we know what everybody came here for. It's Cory's turn. Let's talk to Cory about Cory's about me. Let's hear about puppy arms. Should have been a mini horse, ring bearer, never the 110 champ, Bergler. Let's hear about his aspect in all this. So let's start. We're gonna take it back to, where were you born?
Point Pleasant.
Okay. We're gonna take it back to Point Pleasant, 1989. What month?
January.
All right. So we're gonna go. There's two mini horses in Point Pleasant walking down the boardwalk, and all of a sudden this creature right here spawns. So let's take it right from there.
What's up, guys? Cory Bergler. 28 years old, from Jackson, New Jersey. I've been riding DMX ever since I can remember. I started out doing it because my older brother Chris did it, and obviously I just wanted to be like him. We started out racing. That's actually where I met Scotty. I used to beat him at the track every weekend. You can ask him, he won't tell you, but it happened.
I got a feeling Scotty's not going to like those words.
Yeah.
Sorry, Scott, I can't control him.
And then from there,
And neither can you.
Like I said, I always liked jumping. Like, it wasn't about speed and stuff like that. I just liked jumping in the air. So we would always have like wooden ramps out front and stuff like that. And then Scotty's family actually opened up the incline club. and I started going there, and that's when I really started hanging out with him every day. And he got me into doing the BMX shows. So I started doing shows when I was 15 years old, and I got to travel more, you know, in that first like year than I had my whole life. And just traveling around all over the place doing shows, all different types of events, meeting new people, riding new places. Like, it was just, if I wasn't hooked already, like, that's what really brought me
got
in.
you set into it.
You know, it was cool, you know. There was a point where I knew multiple different airports like the back of my hand, but I'm getting lost trying to get to third period, you know.
Well, speaking of school, you bring school up. How old were you? What grade were you in when BMX really took to a point where you had to make the decision? You graduated and you did that, but
I didn't have a choice with that one. I actually asked, you know, to be signed out, and I can kind of still feel the beating that my mom gave me because she wasn't.
But you know what? I'm sure mom's proud to look back now to say, hey, you know what? Yeah, maybe at that time it wasn't the best thing to go through, but you've got a pretty good following. You're where you want to be right now.
Yeah,
you know?
She didn't like that, you know, and it was both my parents, you know, they were
you're
nervous.
their boy,
at
they gotta
first.
look after you.
Yeah, you know, they were like, you know, what are you doing? You know, you need to get a job and stuff like that. And then all of a sudden, got a phone call one day, and this guy asked my dad because I was only 15, he was like, you know, Mr. Bergler, we need your consent. I want your son to do a show for me. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. And then he's like, you know, what's the show? And he was like, well, it's the pregame show for the Super Bowl, so I need to fly him out to Miami, and he's going to do a show. And my dad was like,
speechless.
All right. And I mean, I pretty much walked back to my room like a boss because I was like, yeah.
No, Dad, you're grounded.
no flipping burgers for me. I was leaving school like multiple times a week. Some of my teachers were cool about it and gave me work to take with me. Some of them actually covered for me because, like I said, my mom was not about.
Yeah, my mom wasn't saying like that.
Your mom did your schoolwork for you.
Yeah, right. Yo,
Who are you
was
kidding?
Nuts. Yeah, right. She would never.
She's probably signed her name on the bottom too. Just
if it wasn't for that credit law changing where you can only miss like 7.5 days, I would have still went to school. But when I was 16, my junior year, they changed the credit law, and I was already missing way more than 7.5 days of school. So she had no choice but to take me out.
I'm not gonna lie, as much as I wanted to get out of school, like there's times where I'm like, man, I wish I was in school.
Well, that's
Real
like
life.
I went through school. I finished school. I graduated, and if it weren't, I don't think I would have graduated if it weren't for motorcycles. Because on the opposite end, I was way different. Where I just I would have bikes in the truck. I'd pull up to school. And I'd be like, hour and like, I gotta go. I gotta leave. Like, and I'd leave. And then the first time my father found out, and the school called, and he was like, "That's it. Give me the bikes. You're not bringing these to school anymore."
No.
And it was like, I think you remember because you texted me like, "Hey, we riding it?" I'm like, "Nope." I used to park right in the front of the lot so I could see it from half the classes I was in, and then that was it. Dad said, "Nope. You got to bring your grades up, and then we'll let you have the bikes again."
Dude, I remember first day of junior year, I made it about halfway, and I texted Scotty. I was like, "Yo." He was like, "What's up? How's the first day?" I was like, "Come get me."
Not working.
He texted me. He was like, "I'm out front," and I just bolted.
Get me out of here.
Well, that's it. I mean, you can kind of tell at a young age that. I mean, there's kids now you see them on 50s. There's kids at the skate park that are 7, 8 years old that you see like, all right, they're going to do really good in this. So the parents do have to make that decision that, okay, do we let them follow their passion and become successful at it, or do we reinforce the schoolwork? Which, me now having a 1-year-old, I think like, you know, if that day comes where I see he's progressing in a hobby like motocross or BMX or something non-scholarly, how do you make that decision? You know, and it's got to be very tough. You know, for anyone coming up to look at a sport like this, the time and the dedication you have to put to it. How do you make that decision?
Yeah, I don't blame my parents for their decision of not pulling me out. You know, if anything, I probably would have done the same thing. You know, because in our sport, you know, anything can happen. You know.
Yeah.
Even the littlest fall or the biggest fall can take you out, and it's game over. And
nothing's guaranteed. You know?
On,
The better you become doesn't mean that the crashes hurt less, so you learn how to crash.
You can be the best in the world, and everybody has a bad day.
Well, I
you
mean,
know?
we saw it. With our friend growing up, we saw what happened to Scotty. And there's a guy who takes safety more than anybody.
Yeah.
And it was just one freak accident that set him back. I can't say it's stopping him because he's
Unstoppable.
He's getting back on the bike. He's riding. He's pushing himself to take it that next level. But that's something that segues perfectly to the next topic of dealing with injuries and adversity, growing up into it. And I know with you for a while, you had a really good run of not getting hurt, and then
Must be nice.
you had your knees give
Yeah.
out a little. You had
Yeah.
some issues with knees going bad.
Right.
Current account
surgery.
representative, that's probably the person to speak with.
And that was what, about 2009, 10, where things started to fall apart,
Yeah,
for lack of a
kind
better
of just
expression.
fade away. I'm just
Yeah,
like-
and
like,
you actually went to work for a while.
yeah, I mean, a year and a half ago, I was mixing concrete, and I'm thinking like,
Is this it?
man, I really
Yeah,
can only
sure.
ride on weekends if I feel like
Well,
it.
that, and then it wasn't even that because your bikes got stolen.
Yeah, well, that happened too. I mean,
Then it wasn't even till you ride on the weekends
no
until
bike,
someone gave you a bike.
no bike and a day job, and I'm just like, wow, man, I really just spent my whole life riding, and I can't do anything with it. Like,
Yeah.
this is it for me.
I was in
And-
the same boat, and because I mean, let's face it, like you said earlier about racing, like you got 18th and you got $400. That didn't even cover your travel, like,
Dude,
your
it's-
entry
You
fees
didn't
and
even
all
break
that.
even. You
Yeah.
And, my
lost
pa-
after
and
that.
like you said, my parents would say the same thing. Like, you need to get a job, you
Yeah.
need to do this. And then like my dad got sick, and
Changed
I
perspective.
really had no funding. Like, my
Yeah.
dad helped me with everything up until that point, and when that happened, it was like,
Man,
I don't know. What am I doing with
recollect,
myself?
yeah.
What am I doing? I think I was getting fat. Like,
Your only skill set was riding a motorcycle. And, yeah, hey, listen, it happens. I mean, I can't really put on the same token. The only real bad injury I had was when I broke my eye socket and stuff like that, and then a year later I broke my femur. But like, you wanted the same thing. Like, wow, like, how do you overcome something like that? You just recently you did your ankle over a year ago.
Yeah,
That took
and
you out
actually,
for a while.
It literally has just been a year and about a week.
Yeah.
Now. That was a pretty scary day. Last week I had a show and I was like, oh man, it's been a year.
Yeah.
Let's take it easy.
Well, that, and then
man.
not only that, but after you get it all healed up, he's filming here, and you wanted to be in it, and yeah, I'll tail up off your desk. And we set it all up.
No, hardly ever.
Dude, that was literally the day before I went to get
To
cleared
the doctor.
from the doctor, and I put my foot down and I just heard a pop and a crack, and I was like, oh. But I went there. I told him, he's like, yeah, sorry I'm late. I was walking out to my truck and I started it, and when I got out, I slipped on some ice.
I remember you texted me, like, the doctor bought it, and thank God I had no
Yeah.
fracture or anything like that.
He goes, all right, well, we gotta take an X-ray anyway. He looks at it, he goes, yeah, you might have just twisted it or something. You're fine. X-ray looks great. Everything's good. You're cleared to ride. I was like, okay, watch out for that ice. Put some salt down.
Exactly, yeah. Well, did it happen in his parking lot?
No.
You should have told him, like, hey, man. And speaking of, overcoming adversities and different things like that, you individually, you had, growing up, probably one of the, besides Jason Lawrence, I'd say about the only kids from New Jersey, and a handful of kids that actually had factory support from Amateur Suzuki. You were getting bike shipped to you, parts shipped to you, you were flying around to all these different races, the U.S. Open, all crazy stuff like that. And then to go from, having this bucket of opportunities to grab out of, and then nothing, your most recent deal you have with AP Moto Club. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean,
Who they are, how they're helping you out.
with all that and coming from that to nothing, it was super humbling for sure. And to think that I wasn't even going to be riding was crazy. And then, I was lucky enough to meet Tony and Sam at the Asbury Park Moto Club, and they just stepped up out of nowhere. And
It literally was like, you called me on a Tuesday and you're like, hey, I found these guys that want to sponsor me and buy me a bike. And I'm like,
huh.
who are they? And you're like, Moto Club. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I know Anthony. And then literally, like, you guys came in on Thursday. And
Yeah, it was like a few days
bike
later.
rolled right on out of here.
I couldn't believe it. And then even when I got the bike, Tony is asking me, what do you want to do with it? What do you want to do with it? And I'm just like,
Ride.
I was like, I don't know. I should probably go out to California, and I want to hit some ramps and stuff, and maybe practice some Supercross when I'm out there.
A month later, you're in a truck.
Yeah, so
on the way.
a month later, he sends me to Cali. I got this bone stock ATM, and I just started hitting ramps with it. And they're like, oh, you know, stock suspension. I'm like, listen, like, this is what I got.
Yep.
I'm hitting the ramp. It's what I want to do.
They'd be doing the same thing if they were in the same shoe 6 months ago. You
Yeah,
know?
so for like, actually up until 2 weeks ago, and I went to California on February 1st, that's when I got there.
Yeah.
So since then, when I really started riding the bike up until 2 weeks ago, so, you know,
Oh, I know the story. I got the stock parts sitting in the desk back
The
there.
beginning of
I can't
September.
believe what you've got out of that bike.
98 hours and the thing was cooked.
I got.
Well, side note, it wasn't cooked. It was still running fine.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
at that point was like it's either gonna go in midair
I'm like, listen,
or before
I got
it.
100 hours on my bike. I got bone stock suspension. Like, I did my
Taco rims.
I did my first show in April, and it was just because I was out in California hitting the ramps, and I kind of found to myself, like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I want to do.
The re-bitrth of Frankie Lettieri.
And so
Freestyle Frank.
So I'm driving around somewhere, and I hear this commercial on the radio. Oh, freestyle motocross in Seaside, New Jersey. And I'm like, wait, they're bringing ramps in
Where's
Seaside? Like,
yeah.
Seaside, like here? So I start going on my phone on Google, and I'm looking it up, and I'm trying to find it, and I found like 5 or 6 different emails to contact, and I just emailed them all the same thing, like, listen, I'm from here, like, I live right down the road, I want to hit the ramp, like, I just want to come ride with the guys, whoever it is. I didn't know who was riding, I didn't know anything about it, and, you know, I got a call, like, a week later, and it's like, yeah, man, like, if you want to come hit the ramp, you can, like, I'm not going to be able to pay you anything for it, but you can come hit the ramp. And that's when I got introduced to John, and learned that John is the guy.
John Sigismondi.
Yeah, John, he's the man. He's helped me so much this past year, and I owe a lot.
Well, he's a
to that
local guy too.
Yeah,
You know,
John.
lives in Florida, which then
grew up.
ironically,
Grew up with Buffalo Bob.
exactly.
Great
But
friends.
the crazy thing though is like here's 2 separate worlds. You and Cory. Like I'm sure maybe growing up you heard of Cory because I was so big in BMX in school and whatnot.
Of course.
But now like you've been with Johnny for how many years, getting shows at MetLife, getting shows all over the country. Frankie comes rolling in and
So John's like,
gets
hey.
linked right in with it.
So
you
John
know?
calls me. He's like, hey, I heard you're going to hit the ramp. You know, those are my ramps. So, you know, you're good. You can go ride that. I can't give you any money or anything, but you can hit it. And I was like, listen, like, I just want the practice. Like,
Yeah.
I just want to go. I've never went ramp to ramp, so I just showed up to Seaside. I see this thing set up in the street. Mike Angerman has it all set up, and I don't know.
But then it went
Right
from
out,
just
right
having a
to it.
ramp, and then what did they let you do? They took a whole parking lot for you and let you take over kind of that urban motocross.
Oh yeah,
setup.
that was crazy
The
too.
Boot House
Yeah,
lifters and
DeVoot House lifter
all
stepped
those
up,
guys.
got me some flat trailers, and made a street course right
Mm.
next to the ramp. So not only was I hitting the ramp for the first time, but I kind of had this whole like little street course set
Yep.
up, and I was just riding, having a good time, and the people loved it. It was great. So a couple weeks later, there was a monster jam at MetLife, and
which you both were at.
yeah. So I
Which
went.
nobody wanted to jump.
Yeah, it was.
Nobody
it was,
wanted to do anything
It was
because of the rain
raining.
and
It was
wind.
slippery.
But
it was
you guys
sketchy.
still went and
We're
did it.
pushing puddles all day, and then.
We had blowers on. Dude, the sun would come out, dry up, and then it would start raining again. And
That was a monster truck show, right?
Yeah.
Why didn't they just turn the exhaust backwards and blow the ramps off?
It got to the point where Johnny called and he was like, "Listen, man, I trust you. You know, whatever you think is best. We don't want to have a bad show.
Yeah.
You know, I'd rather have one good one." So we were like, "All right, you know, let's hold out until
Get it the best we
till the
can.
last one. That way we can get the setup going as good as we can." And it worked out great. You know, BMX show went off and then Moto went off and everybody killed it.
He's
Everybody
flipping
stayed safe.
360 and whipping underneath
Yeah.
us. Like, it was sick.
That was fun. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'll say too. Is I think like when you have a guy in a show that, when you have a motocross guy that likes BMX or a BMX guy that likes motocross, it makes that show so much better because you guys want to work with each other. And
It does.
the show is always going to time itself with each other, but like when you have guys that know how the bikes are going to approach the ramp and how it's got to get hit, it can line that trick
That's
up and
one of
line
the
the
things that I
show much
love the
better.
most, like doing the MetLife shows or like.
Well, that and it's
when
your
I-
hometown crowd, you know.
That's awesome too. When I first met Johnny when I was like super young, like 2008, 2009, I was doing the IFMA show, so it was freestyle moto and BMX, and Johnny was the ringleader of the whole thing.
Yeah.
So like, and I didn't really know him too well, but like he just took such great care of us. And then when I got asked to do MetLife, like, you know, they were like, "Oh yeah, John Sigismondi, he's the one that is booking everybody." I was like, "Oh, I remember him." And same thing, hadn't seen him or talked to him in years, and He's just a super nice guy, you know, takes care of his riders.
He never forgets anybody.
He won't put you, you know, in harm's way, and like he cares, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, when
if it's a bad setup, he's not gonna be like, hey, go,
Exactly,
do what
yeah.
you gotta do.
Well, when
what's
you
he
had
be
me reach
saying?
out to him and I started talking, I met John maybe back in 2000. Remember Moto Concepts Racing? Not Moto Concepts, the Alessi's, when it was at Englishtown. Mark Ventrini, I think his name was. It was that little, like, Artie Stryker was on it, that little team they had set up.
I don't remember.
John was actually like, that was like his first TM job, you know, of doing something. He always was in with Feld and motocross, stuff like that, but he basically donated his time to help this team try to come up, and he got like all these outside sponsors to come in and start like a little team in Englishtown. I had met John then because they wanted to do some stuff at the shop, and it just never panned out, but I kind of remembered who he was, and then when we were getting all your t-shirts in here and stuff with John, and I called him, he immediately, yeah, I remember, you know, you number 143, you had the yellow Yamaha ball. I'm like, wow, like, and there's a guy who extremely cares about not only his job, but what people think of him, and what you guys are saying about him.
And the sport in
I can
general too,
easily
because
see
his son Jack races
Exactly,
and stuff.
yeah.
So like, you know, he really, he's into
He raced the MXGP
Like,
not too long
I
ago.
feel like there's so many reps that I have met in the industry that they're straight up dorks. Like,
Yeah,
they
want to do it to rub elbows with
Yeah,
these guys.
like-
They don't
like-
have any passion.
like a
they
couple
want
of
to hang out
guys
with
like
Potter,
that work
like-
for Spy or whatever it is, like they invented Spy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Just self-proclaimed rock stars, and I just hate that mentality of people. Like, you know,
It gives the sport a bad vibe
It
because
does.
those are the
And it
people that are
really-
talking
Yeah.
about it to their friends, and they make, you know, like look, for example, James Stewart's TV show for years ago.
That was a good
It
show.
made the
and
show
that
was
dork
okay.
Roger that works for him. Come on.
What was bad about that show is it really pushed the divide of freestyle motocross and regular motocross and racing, because it made Potter look like a complete douchebag and hated Stewart for all this stuff when really that wasn't even the case. So that's, I agree with you. There's a lot of people in this industry that are just
think
weird.
too, like when it comes to stuff like that, like people are also smart and drama.
Drama sells.
Look
100%.
at the
Drama sells.
Kardashians, bro.
Well,
How
look
they
now,
made it.
on the 10-year anniversary, whatever one of them
You know,
is pregnant now.
all
So
these
it's-
years later, and they're like bajillionaires, and
Yeah.
I'm over here.
They've made a new alien because it didn't exist
exactly.
until they came about.
Exactly.
So we've heard a little bit about Frankie's background when it comes to amateur stuff, progressing into the pro ranks, changing over into the freeride scene, getting involved in freestyle shows. You have a similar background with the BMX stuff, but again, you've always rode motocross. So little known fact we'll bring up is Cory used to ride quads. We got nothing against quad riders, but Cory used to ride a quad.
Yeah.
So let's start from there. Let's start from where. Did you race quads?
No.
It was more just fun.
I always loved moto. I always would have been amazing if I could have raced, but like I said before,
We can get you racing.
you know, unfortunately.
Hey, Shannon, we need an SSR 250 for this guy. Get him at the track.
Unfortunately, you know, my parents, it takes a ton of money, you know, and my parents just, they didn't have it for that. And,
Well, here's something. My dad says this all the time, and I laugh at him for it, but he says the only way you end up with $1 million in racing is you start off with 2. So you're on the race.
Exactly.
You know that it's expensive,
Exactly.
and like Frankie said, there is no real reward for the risk you're taking now. But anyway, let's get back. Let's go to 4 wheels, though. Seems like you're skating around the 4 wheels.
No,
Let's bring that
I'm
up.
building it up.
No, I know. I'm just messing.
So I didn't get my first bike until I was like almost 17, and it was a pit bike. It was a POS like extreme. I blew
A
third
POS
gear.
50?
Yeah, I blew third gear in it, sold it, you know, as is, and then bought a Pitster Pro, and I had that for a few months, and then wound up finding some kid that had a practice bike, CR125, and traded for it. So that was like my first dirt bike, and then winter hit, and I wound up trading that for a quad. It was a Z400, and that was fun. You know, I whipped around the snow and stuff. My one buddy Mike had a quad, and then I was getting oil for it one day, and I seen like an unbelievable deal on a Honda 450 quad, so I scooped that, and I was Joe Pro for a little bit, you know.
Joe Pro. What's Joe Pro?
I don't know.
What's Joe Pro in quad life? Frankie and I know what Joe Pro is in motorcycle life. That's
Self-proclaimed shredder, but
Exactly.
a little sketchy.
Yeah.
super sketchy. Really. So I can only imagine Joe Pro on a quad. That you're gonna take out some people in the stands.
Dude, it was fun though. We rented out Englishtown a lot. So
I've seen old pictures of you
Yeah.
at Englishtown, nose high on staircase.
So what you
I
gotta
don't
do.
the quads are great. We sell them. We like quad customers. I just don't understand how these guys sail these things in the air. I at a young age,
They're
which
good for packing jumps.
they're good for that. But I rolled myself
I
on a
was wishing I
quad.
had one yesterday.
I rolled myself on a quad at a young age, and it was at that point I got scared of them. Like I didn't want to.
Yeah, 'cause
Hurt myself
I
with
remember
that.
there was a couple of times like I would take off a jump and that would be fine, but because you know you
How
got
you
four
land.
wheels, like I guess you know I must have hit like a little bit of a higher spot in the lip or something, and it
Well,
like
quads
just
are
kinda
magnets too,
kicked
you know.
And I was just like, whoa, this is I don't like this,
Yeah.
you know.
Quads are
trying to
magnets. When
jump
you
my
land, when you
couch.
fall off the quad, it comes back to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Dude,
they always
follow
come back.
you. They like.
And they always land on their wheels and run you over. You
Yeah.
know, your bike, you fall, the bike hits the ground, it's gonna maybe roll, but it's not gonna, you know, heat seek missile you and lawn dart you. So we'll go from the quads. We did that, and your first. What did you after that 450? You know, when you sold that, what bike you had then?
I wound up trading that in because I started hanging out with my buddy Pat Bartoff, and at that time he had a quad, but then like everybody started getting dirt bikes, so I was like, all right,
2 wheels now.
I'll go to 2 wheels. So I wound up trading it in. Finally, I was smart and I actually traded it in, and I had gotten.
Well, you didn't trade it into me, so I won't say you're real smart. So I'll give you some credit though. But that was years ago.
I wound up getting a Suzuki RMZ 450, and that thing was sick. But I'm just a little guy, you know. It had a little too much power for me, a little too much weight.
So you tried Joe Pro in the 450, and
I got
it Joe Pro'd you.
Yeah, I got a reality check.
It
But
worked.
the hardest thing for me was like I was never able to get like steady seat time in on Moto. You know, I was always traveling for BMX shows or doing BMX stuff. So like, it sucked because like I always wanted to. Like I would basically like pray for the weekends. You know, when if I didn't have a show or something, or I was actually in town, and I would hit up all my friends and we'd go out riding and stuff, and I'd have the time of my life. You know, it was literally my getaway. You know, from BMX. As much as I love BMX and I always will, it's the greatest thing I've ever done. You know, when you do it full time, you know, sometimes it is nice to
Get away from
have
it.
something that you don't necessarily have to take serious. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I'll show up to a skate park and just be cruising, and then the next thing you know, I'm like, oh, I can do this there, like I can do that, like. Yeah, and then you start pushing yourself, and it's fun. I love it. Or
Well, that and you show up and the kid's
riding
like,
on that
hey,
edge, you
do
know?
a backflip
Yeah,
tail whip. I want to see your
exactly.
360 tail whip, you know? And you gotta make the kids happy.
And it was just nice to be able to just jump on the bike and kind of just even just cruise around the pit. You know, I didn't have to.
It's mind clearing.
Yeah.
You once you get on the bike, everything that you were worrying about stops. The only thing you're focusing on was finding a new trail.
Or
Just
not
even
around.
doing something cool. Like the funnest times I ever had on a motocross bike was going out to the trails or going out to the pits, and it wasn't I hit that big jump, or it was just finding something new, going somewhere that maybe a few people had only gone to, you know?
And that was like kind of the hard thing for me because now I'm coming from my world of riding BMX and being pretty good at it to riding with kids that have been riding their whole lives and like they're you know,
it's like me when I show up to
gnarly on a
Lacey
bike.
skate park and you know I don't have pegs on, I'm wearing a pink full face, and you got Cory over here doing 360 whips over the spine, and I'm like, I'm gonna try to roll up this quarter pipe like I did 10 years ago. You know, I know exactly how you feel in that area, and that was even me too with motocross, where like I'd go out, you know, to the pits with this kid or go out with other, and there's kids sailing 140 foot jumps, and I'm like, like even in my heyday, I didn't want to do it because I had to come here Monday morning
Risk
and
versus
work.
reward, like.
Yeah, but you know what though? Still, it was like I remember some of the things you guys did growing up, and then even the skate park, like watching. I spent more time, I think, when it comes to being at the track and going to the skate park, watching people like you than I ever did riding
I'm the
because
same
it was
way.
just
Like, I love
it was
doing
crazy.
that. Even out at the pit, like we would all like meet up somewhere, and like, dude, I remember not too long ago, Frankie's hitting this like 100+ booter, and I'm just like, you're out of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm the
Yeah,
same
you're
way
right.
though. Even when I'm out there
Like,
riding with my friends,
Dude,
like,
coming across half the pit, 4th gear tap, and I mean tap.
Yeah.
And
Oh, I know
just-
he's been talking about him. I know.
And I'm like,
Yeah. When's he gonna land?
oh.
He's probably
I
talking
thought
about
the landing was over
pitch
here.
yeah, but I'm still the same way with watching too. Like I love when we get out there with a good, a good group of people and get to watch each other because I
Yeah.
feel like that's how you kind of develop. Like I don't know.
That's how you learn. It's how you progress. You watch. Oh, look, I
Yeah,
didn't see that.
I'm super judgmental of myself, and I watch other people all day, every day, and I'm like, I don't know, I just want to get better. That's the only thing in my head. I just want to be better at riding my bike.
See, I was opposite of judgmental at English Tag. His nickname is Butt Whip Willie. In my head, I was throwing the nastiest whip. But someone watches like, what is he doing? Is he trying to jump off the bike or something? But no, you have to watch other people to progress. And that's like I said with you two, you have that perfect skill set with each other to where, he knows how to get himself off the bike. I saw the video of you doing your first seat grab.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
That's
I think
it's squirrely, but it's happening.
It's a totally
working.
new process, like.
Well,
I'm
we
so-
spent our whole life staying on
trying
the
to
bike,
squeeze
getting
in
the most
everything,
inside line,
like-
and he grew up in a world where the further you were away from the bike, the better it looked,
I got lucky enough to meet some awesome people at Fitzland this past winter, and I bought a subframe off Cantrell, so I put it on.
You know what? I don't want to cut you. Let's talk about Cantrell real quick, because this was something I was thinking about on the way in this morning, because he's still talking about X Games Best Whip Gold. He won. And I think it was awesome. What I want to bring up, though, is we see it in both sports. He won. That's awesome. Here's a kid who, 5-6 years ago, I was talking to him on Facebook about how cool it was when he was on that new Yamaha and was getting... He was making that bike do things people didn't think it was going to do. It was too heavy. It was too bulbous. It was too... And he was getting that bike flipped upside down better than anyone out there. And now you have a kid like him who worked his ass off to get where he is, to get himself in a spotlight, and he wins Best Whip. And what happens? You get guys like Twitch. You get guys like anyone that's in that industry. Oh, he bought Best Whip. He bought his tweets. He bought. That's the one thing I think within this sport we need to work away from.
I don't really know how that all works, but I mean, if I was in that contest and going into it, I knew that's how they were judging it.
That's how you have to promote yourself.
I'll be like, okay, well, listen, how am I going to get this done?
Yep.
So I don't know.
It's fan favorite, fan voted, and it's by Twitter, which that's how you have to do Best Whip.
I think most of the other guys should probably just be thinking a little bit more of what they can do besides riding.
Exactly, and Cantrell's smart to where, like, you see, I can almost relate it to Cory, where I see Cory surrounding himself with sponsors that like to talk about him, and that they like what they get from him, and that's what Cantrell did. He lined himself up with Tin Cup Whiskey, and all these people that had these big outlets on social media and helped him win. And his whips are good too. Like,
they're nasty.
Jared McNeil has a
killing.
nice whip, but it's been the same whip for 5 years.
Yeah, but he wrecked himself up.
Well,
anyway,
yeah.
So.
But it's, I don't know, I just think, you say him, I want to bring that up because that was something, like I said on the way this morning, I thought, it's that entitlement that's going on in the freestyle community where even too, like Axel Hodges has a very good skill set, but I feel as if he didn't have the people behind him he has,
See,
he
like
wouldn't be where he is
that's the
today.
biggest thing, and I can relate to that because, like, look at and I want to start off by saying, like, I'm not taking any bit of credit from these people, but like people that have ramps set up, in their backyard or.
They're in their state, man.
Yeah,
it's like, it ain't even around here. It's so different. They have no idea what it's like.
So you look at like Axel, and it's like, dude's a phenomenal rider.
Look at his
honestly,
backyard.
I'm a fan of him.
Yeah,
I really am.
I am.
But like, you look at his backyard, and
That's why he's so good.
But at the same time, and again, I'm not trying to trash him, but the one video where he's waking up and then going downstairs and then going, it's like, dude, you didn't have to work. Like, you were fortunate enough that you had financial support.
Exactly. Well, his
so
brother's dirt sharp,
and so that you can focus all your time on riding.
It would be a shame if he wasn't good. Like,
exactly.
if
you'd have to expect it. Like, dude, all you have to do is ride. You don't have to
And he's
worry
got
about
and guidance helps too. Like I see
dude,
that.
he's hanging out with McGrath and Twitch. Like, those
but
guys
now
are at his age telling him, like, here's what you have to do.
Listen, like I'm doing seat grabs now. I'm getting pretty close. I got no guidance. I'm
No
out here
one's
winging
telling
on
you
my
that.
own. hitting a ramp maybe once a month because there's nothing for me to practice on. But like,
Got you, bro.
You guys are making, well, yeah, he's got something
coming.
in the works, but you guys, I think that's where, why I like to talk about the Jersey freeride scene is because we're making the most of having nothing. You can't ride anywhere. There's illegal spots we go to that we get thrown out of, we get our bikes impounded. There's 2 tracks, one's at, 45 minutes from here, the other's an hour and a half. They're both at separate ends of the state. One's only open 4 days a week, one's open 5 days a week. None of them have. I'm waiting for someone, not only maybe a new track to open up, but I'm waiting for either English County or Field of Dreams to say, hey, we made a pit. Come ride our pit, you know?
Yeah, but there's not too many guys that will even take it back to the roots and take it back to like why we started riding, you know, like having a good time, enjoying your bike. Yeah, but that's what sucks is I am, but there's like when you got on Cali, like I said, Raha just showed up out of nowhere. He's doing the same thing as me. Like there's no other guys out in our pits that are shoveling jumps or spending 2 days digging. You know, where it's out here, me and 1 or 2 other guys.
And then in a week that jump's gone because no one has the respect
because
to
they'll
stay
go
off
with a
it.
Jeep and run over it or whatever. Like, you know,
Or just
we don't
the fact that
we don't have 20 guys in the hills with water packs and
Yeah.
like it's just so
you
different.
spend those days shoveling, and then they come in with the machines and take them down.
Well, not only that, you might spend 3 days shoveling and then it rains Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and you get out
But
there
they
and
just
it's
come
rain
and
rut.
they just come dig, the whole hill's gone.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, okay, like.
But that's the thing. I think the coolest thing about the New Jersey freeride is our
Builds
landscapes.
character.
Oh yeah, it's always changing. One thing I really would like to speak on is you two individually. Obviously, we've done a lot of talking in your upbringings in this sport, but you two have a very similar lifestyle, but you weren't really friends until what, about a year ago. You guys came together on a little video we did here, which we'll put a link to in. Frankie terrorizing the streets around here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
But,
I kind of got to thank you for that. You know, it's like I was coming in and out, and I guess Cory was coming in and out here too. And obviously I've seen his videos and stuff online. But like you're just like, yeah, Cory's always in here. He's talking about a bike or this or that. And then, you know, one of those days you just kind of.
It just, I mean, to be honest with you, when it came to, I mean, I think in the last 5 years I've really put myself in a different position here to. You know, my dad always tells me I have to do different things. I need to be what he was 20 years ago when he was coming up with the newest, latest, greatest ideas to get people in here. And that's where I always sought to you, to Cory, anyone around this area that has not only a big following, but has the skills to back it up. And that's why I knew you and Cory would be a good fit together because you know Moto, he knows BMX, and both of these sports, in a sense, need each other to take the next level of progression. Look at Nitro Circus. Look at all the stuff they do.
And not only that, it's just cool to have that like collaboration of the two things.
Well, look at what you guys did a couple weeks ago with putting BMX and Moto together. You doing fakies on the half pipe.
Well, like he said he saw me hit a jump out in the pit one time, and he was like, kind of just dumbfounded by it. That's how I am every time I see them do anything on those BMX. Like it blows my mind. Like
still to this day, like when I watch every video that Scotty puts up, and I see this kid going on his BMX bike,
blows my mind.
Myself, how do you do? It's like me and BMX didn't work. I'm too big for a BMX bike, but I loved it. But yeah, I mean, upside down, 360, flipping the frame, and it's like,
how do you keep up with all that?
Yeah,
It's just muscle memory or what?
I just close my eyes.
Yeah, he's got it
I
down.
used to do that too. When I'd open them, I'd be upside down, looking up, going, why?
So many times.
It's like playing
nature.
pool, you point, push, you pray.
That's the only way I
It's like finding girls.
No,
well, Frankie, for you, maybe.
I think it's awesome because, we're both passionate about.
Oh, I just got. He said you point, poke, and pray.
It's like finding girls.
I didn't get it until now.
It hit me after. I'm like, wait, did he mean like because it's online? Or, oh wait, no, it's Frankie.
My first thought was like, oh yeah, girls. You meet a girl, how it was.
I told you keep it PG. I know.
PG-13.
Yeah, you have to ask your parents' permission before logging on.
No, I think that it's really cool because we're both passionate about both sports.
Yeah.
He has interest in BMX and stuff.
I've seen his interest. I've seen the video of him. We need to get that because I got to put that in here.
Yeah, I'll fail as many times as I have to.
One thing I never did though.
You haven't failed until you fail to get back up.
You know one thing I never did though? I never backflipped the bike into the foam pit. I've wanted to a million times. I've tried a front flip. my biggest thing was Superman secret. I used to just go like this and then land like that because I didn't want to drop the bike. But like I said, I'll give it to you. That's to see. It's cool. Just I think the coolest thing is to see where you're coming from in BMX, what you've already established you can do, and now you're doing it on motorcycles. You want to take it to that level, and same with you. You've already done it on motorcycles, and now you're taking it to the same level he wants to do. So you both are good in one area, and now you're trying to get good in the same area. You know,
Yeah.
which I think is cool. I give it up to you guys because it's hard. It's not easy. You know,
It's cool that it's new to both of us too, because like I feel like more of the technical riding aspect I have down, but like the tricks, I don't know nothing about it. Like I don't have no one telling me how to do tricks or how to, you know, I'm learning can-cans or knack-knacks or trying to do C-grabs on my own, which is,
it's hard,
it's tough. Like
and that's where he comes in.
Yeah, so
Whereas, yeah,
so
I talk to a lot of like freestyle moto guys that I know from doing shows with them, and they're like first off, I think it's awesome that seriously every single one that I've talked to is super stoked about me wanting to make the
Well, look what Nate
transition
Adams did.
into
Nate was
it.
stoked,
Yeah,
too.
you know,
Nate
I
sent you
ride-
out a giant care package to
I
get
ride
you
for
going.
Deaf Family and Nate Adams, somebody who I've looked up to my entire life. You know, asked me to ride for him a little over a year ago, and I like talked to him a little about it. I was like, you know, I love riding dirt bikes and stuff like that. It'd be a dream come true if I could actually get into freestyle moto. And then I just hit him up like a couple months ago, and like I said, I looked up to the guy my whole life, and the fact that like I can talk to him like almost on like a almost daily basis, you know, like asking any type of questions I had about doing stuff like for my gravels, like he was super helpful with that, you know. He wound up sending me out some parts for my bike to help get it set up for freestyle, you know. It's honestly like I have a better understanding for it because like for Scotty, for example, like I've known him my whole life.
Yeah.
So as big of a rider as he is and like famous as he is, like I never looked at it that way because I just looked at it as well, he's my friend, you know. Like people are like, dude, I can't believe you get to ride with him. Like that's a dream of mine, and I'm like, he's just
you live a reality.
he's
most
just
people
my
dream of.
friend, you know. So like, it definitely makes you appreciate it more because I wouldn't be anywhere close to where I am now if it wasn't for him. Like he's done so much for me.
And well, that's the thing too. Scotty's
You know.
selflessness is he always, and even when I remember growing up, every Saturday and Sunday my dad would drop me off for lessons with him, and Scotty wasn't happy unless he was actually helping kids learn new stuff too. So like he didn't. There's a lot of pros out there that just won't talk to you.
Exactly.
You know, they don't want anything to do with you. Where I mean, Scotty's the type of guy where
like you're the reason that a lot of people get into this. How are you not going to support what supports you?
Exactly, and that's the difference I say too is with guys like you coming up to where it's this. You guys feel. You don't feel. I guess the best word is it's not that you don't feel entitled. That, yes, I've worked my ass off to do this. I don't need to pay attention to you. You guys feel lucky to be where you're at.
And I feel like social
anyone
media
comes up
did
to
a
talk
lot
to
of
them.
that too, though. Like,
Well, it opens it up to your personal life.
Yeah,
you know,
without a
people
doubt.
know what you're doing all day now.
You know, I
and
feel
people
like
look forward to seeing what you're doing.
But I feel like growing up, like it was all these different websites that kind of dictated who was the cool rider. You know what I mean? If you were on Verb or Transworld or Racer X,
Or on the cover of Pickle.
Yeah, or no one didn't know like who you were or anything about you. And then like social media started rolling around and people are making their own videos. I'm making better edits than most of these guys
On your iPhone.
On my phone. I do it
Same
on my
with
phone.
you know.
You know, like, and it's funny now because like you thought you needed these people or this business to help yourself, but now you can just do it on your own. And
Exactly.
And those businesses are going out of business because they're learning more about other people and the real side of it. It's not just those guys on test tracks and the guys you hear of.
There's a million Mike's leaders.
I know so many guys that shred that you've never heard of.
It's the truth, and the same with BMX.
It
You
works
know,
in every sport.
there's
you
so
know.
many untapped potential that's not there because they might not fit the social media mold. They might not be the perfect, like the old saying is, you got a face for radio. You know, like it might not. There's kids out there that are just unsponsorable. They're not, but they're great. They're good at what they do. But I mean, look at perfect example in the BMX world, Vic Bem. Look at him. His Instagram is crazy.
He's wild.
If I have, when my son's old enough, if he comes across his profile, I am blocking him from being able to see that. just the guy, he's outrageous. He's funny. A guy my age, I see the comicalness in it, but like I'm like, wow, it's crazy that your sponsors are still like, yeah. But that's also the cool thing too, that the sponsors now, they're not getting politically correct now. They're cool with, hey, that's what he does. Look what he does there.
Yeah.
That obviously has no bearing on what he does.
Cool with some people.
Listen, it's all about just knowing when to turn it off, you know, like there's
it's knowing what to show and what not to show.
Exactly, you know, sometimes you gotta just be professional and present yourself right, and then, you know, when you're hanging out with your friends, heck yeah, kick them in the balls, whatever.
Well, that's the thing, is people don't understand, like you specifically, I see it all the time, and I've seen it with you.
You know me.
We all have camaraderie with each other, and we all talk to each other in a certain way. That outside viewer's looking like, how come he keeps making fun of him? How come he keep, man, I don't like him for that. And it's like, go hang out with them. You have your certain dialogue with your friends. That's it's what you do. Like, I'll be right out honest. Me and this kid hated each other for the longest time. My dad hated this kid. We used to bat heads like crazy because we were growing up, we were young, we were stupid, you know?
And I was just a cocky kid with a dumb ego.
Yeah. But at the same token though, like, you would mess with people, you mess with like the top experts at Englishtown, and piss everybody off, but you could back it up. You had the skills and riding to back it up, but then that's all where it's cool now to see, like, when you and I first met, how close we were as friends. I'm not even talking about that kid because you know how I feel about him. But that's the thing though, you know, it's like you see the whole sport where, for example, me and you were friends. There was a time where we hated each other. Then friends of ours hated each other for hanging out with this kid, and then here we are now, we're all sitting here
no racing, everything's fine, man.
Exactly, and you say J-Law, dude, I got a list a mile long about that kid. And it's, you know, and the kids that he's still infecting to this day that think his route to racing is the way to get yourself out there. I mean, what's he doing now? Is he like...
Man,
here's when I picture what Jason is doing right now. I picture a scene from Breaking Bad down in Estelle Manor, and he's, I don't know, he's...
I remember being on Xbox Live with Jason and Malcolm Stewart, and Malcolm's talking about how, you know, his dad keeps trying to call Jason, and Jason won't answer. And, you know, Jason's like, you know, I don't really want to talk to your dad. He's going to tell me how much of a screw up I am. And Malcolm's like, yeah, that's only because my dad thinks, you know, you're like the most talented rider.
He was.
And Jason turns around to Malcolm and goes, yeah, probably the only rider with more talent than your brother. Like, he just blows my mind. Like,
he just doesn't know.
But
he's got no filter.
He was just so good, though, and it just, I don't know. I wish he was out in the hills with us.
Themselves, honestly, because you could be so good, but sometimes, like, you could just ruin it for yourself by being that type of person. You know, like, for me, I'm the most sarcastic person I think ever.
And people use it against you sometimes.
And sometimes because they don't fully know. You know, like I know when to be serious and stuff like that, but I like making people laugh. You know, I like cracking jokes on people and the people. You know,
it's fun.
The people that know me the best know that.
I watch your videos
I'll make
and I
fun
know
of myself more than I'll make fun of anybody. But they know that that's just how I am. Like, I'm just joking. I just want to have fun with my friends, no matter what I'm doing. And I think that's what makes our sport so fun. Because you take it serious and you put the hard work in. But at the end of the day, you gotta remember, whether it's a dirt bike or a BMX bike, skateboard, whatever. You are, for me, I always say, hey man, you might be having a bad day. You might be pissed off because you can't get in line. But at the end of the day, bro, you're riding a little kid's bike right now, having the time of your life, and like in the position that I'm in, like in a non-cocky way, like, dude, you're getting paid to ride a little kid's bike. Like, don't ever, you know,
there's a million
take
things
that
to be
for granted or let it get the best of you, because there's people that wish every day
they give up everything to be in their position, you know. And there's probably guys that are making 6 figures a year that would give up everything.
And for you to say that, it's easy because you work your ass off for it. You know, there's so many guys where they kind of grew up into it or were handed into it. You know, and I feel like those are the guys that don't really appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's like,
I love the fact that and like I said before, Scotty is like, you know, even my brother, dude, he didn't have a pot to piss in or a window to throw it at, and he's taking me to BMX contests and paying my entry fees, paying for fuel and you know, tolls and stuff like that. So like between him and then, you know, Scotty, like I owe it all to them. And same thing goes for all of my sponsors, you know, everyone that takes care of me and gives me the products that they do, you know, and just back
motivates
me in,
you, you know,
back me in general to make it a little bit easier on me, you know, like with parts and stuff like that,
exactly,
or travel stuff, you know.
Well, that's the difference, though, and that's where
and
you
that's
have these
something
kids
that I'll never in my life take for granted, or you know, because in any second it could be gone, you know.
Well, and that's the thing, like
back.
the kids coming up, like you look at some of these, even like professional motocrossers, BMX riders that have kids now that are coming of age in it. You guys work to get this, and a lot of, you know, those kids you see coming up that are getting the limelight that didn't work for it. You see the difference, you know. You see how thankful you guys are.
You know, and I mean,
it's in every industry. It happens.
Yeah, but there's so many fakes too. Like you gotta think of those people on social media. Like I can name a bunch of them where, you know, they got as many followers as you, 200,000 some followers, and they're getting 2,000 views on a video. Yeah. Like there's just so many frauds and
buying
fakes and
their followers.
Yeah.
That's the difference too. Like,
and I mean, like I won't say that because, like with having Scotty and stuff like that obviously opened up a lot of doors.
It pushed you to that next level, but your skills backed it up.
I also know that exactly my skills and my attitude and you know.
It'd be way different if you had all these followers and stuff that came from Scotty and you couldn't even do a bar spin. Like,
exactly, or
so
even
different.
like with sponsors and stuff. Like he definitely helped me out as far as like putting my name.
But
out
you're
there,
maintaining it,
letting me be a part.
Exactly.
Of
he may have
channel,
opened the door, but
know?
you have kept it open.
Yeah.
You know.
Basically, you know, he definitely took me under his wing and showed me, you know, the right way to do things.
Yeah.
And I seeing how humble he is and stuff, like,
Oh,
I always
no.
said that that's how I want to carry myself, and I try to do my best to do that. And I think that's how
you know.
I've earned, you know, the sponsors that
If
I do
only
have.
somewhere in all these paths crossing amongst each other, if Scotty could have met J Law, maybe Jay would still be racing. And I'm going to use this right now as an open invitation, and that if Jay comes across this, I want to invite him on an episode and get inside the mind of him. Because I remember in 2012 when he went out to California with Utopia and had the Suzuki and the Yamaha, and I'm coming back, and then he raced like it was an amateur day. Like, got everybody all excited to see it, didn't even show up, but
He used to ride BMX.
hey, come on, come back.
he rode a little bit of everything. I'd like to just see him come out of the woods, you know, and do a full Bigfoot sighting and see him sit in one of these chairs.
I just want to see you out in the pit with me, dog. Come on already, like come ride.
I think this video could get to him, and I think he might open up those lines of contacts. I know ever since he got back on Instagram, he's had it out against me, but I can't tell you how loaning a bike to someone for an undisclosed amount of time makes you a bad person. I think the bad person is when you call up for the bike and he's gone for a month with your bike and you have no idea where he or it is.
Just heisted the bike.
Dude. And then when you get the bike back and it blows up in like 4 hours.
Then he goes MIA.
Exactly.
Whoops,
But,
my bad.
Yeah, well.
Oh, what about the coffee surf clip?
That's what I was just getting to. I think it's time. What clip are you going to show?
Something sketchy.
Something sketchy? Something you doing something sketchy? Well, we hope you have a helmet on. Let's get to the coffee surf clip of the day.
Back from the shadows of a days gone by, they seem like scenes from a different life. We didn't notice as the days went past. We knew it couldn't last, but looking back, I wouldn't change a thing.
Well, that was the coffee clip of the week, courtesy of Frankie.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah, I know. Coffee surf clip of the week.
Coffee surf
If
clip
I
of the
drank
week.
a coffee surf, well, I drank one this morning. I'm finally coming down from it now. But if I had one right now, I could probably do it like
It'd be like the coffee
50
surf clip of the
times
week. The
fast.
coffee surf clip of the week.
I'd run out of clips to go with it. But speaking of clips, when do we see clips of this rant? I see pictures of it. I see videos and stuff getting moved around. I see landings getting built. I've seen him do a seat grab. at the I'll call it the rail yard because all that's in that ground there is railroad ties. But when are we going to see some clips of this ramp?
They're coming soon. Me and Frankie picked up the ramp a couple weeks ago, and he's been super busy. I've been super busy, so.
Winter's coming, so it'll give you guys some
we
time to build it.
Nah, we want to get it done before it's crunch time, man.
We're trying to get it welded today.
Yeah, he's got a
All
buddy.
plan.
Nah, he's got a buddy coming today that's gonna weld it up.
Okay.
And then my fiance's dad's been helping me out a lot with the landing. He actually, I would say it's about half, 3/4 of the way done.
Okay.
He's been pushing dirt with the dozer like crazy. He's probably there right now. He
Pushing dirt.
told me this morning. He goes, "Yeah, I gotta go do a couple estimates, and then I'll jump on the dozer for you." I was like, "Okay, thanks."
That's gonna be sweet because that's like we noted before, it's hard to find places to ride. So you guys have your spot.
And that's like we went to a spot before when I hit my first ramp, and I honestly haven't hit one since, but not because I didn't want to, but because one, didn't have the time, and when you have to rely on other people, you can't expect them to drop what they're doing. So.
Exactly, they got lives too, and that you don't want them to feel like you're taking advantage of them just to hit their ramp.
So I was fortunate enough to, again, thanks to Frankie, he was like, "Yo, hit up Mike Matt." So I hit him up, and he hooked me up with a kicker. So thank you for that.
That's it, and that's the big thing I like too. Is when you look at just real quickly, you have AP Moto Cub, you got Coffee Surf, Raceway doing their thing with getting you a ramp. All the guys in this local community that are really stepping up and funneling stuff into this community is really, to me, a great thing to see because at the forefront of a dealership, I see what's been going on with motocross the last few years, and it just hasn't been there. And now to see that Raceway's coming back, more people are signing up racing, more people are getting out riding, and more people are stepping up to, you have a coffee company over here in Belmar that's hooking this kid up, It's cool to see it and to see what the future is going to be like with all of us. And the more people that get involved in it, to see what they want to grow with it, and they see it. There's an outlet there. There's a way to get your name out, and it in turn is the best co-branding that I've seen. And it's why we have areas in our shop dedicated to these guys, because if they're supporting you guys, I'm going to support them. And that brings us into the future. What do we see? What are we going to see from you guys? What are we going to see in the next 6 months, a year, 5 years? Is it going to be like a van with you and Frankie traveling the country, launching stuff and sending it? No?
I mean, I
we'll
can see
there.
a dope motorhome with our faces on it.
Any motorhome companies, trailer companies, anybody that wants to get involved with these guys, you know where to contact them. But no, I think it's cool. It's cool to see, for me especially, two people that I grew up with in two separate worlds now sitting in the chair across from me, colliding those worlds together.
Yeah, I think it's
and
gonna be
doing
awesome
the same thing.
because obviously, he's got the moto background, I got the BMX background. He's getting into freestyle, I'm getting into freestyle, so we can work with each other. With him showing me the basics and stuff like that, and what I need to know. And then when it comes to tricks, it's
You've got that covered.
It's just like riding a bike, but you got a whole lot more time, and you use the weight of the bike to do the tricks, so that helps out a lot. And then hopefully we'll be hitting shows together and stuff
Well,
like
maybe
that.
have your own little
Hopefully we
touring
got some.
thing,
Maybe.
We'll
You
be
never
sick.
know.
Put some wheels on that ramp.
But
Maybe I'll come out and flip it or
I
something
mean,
on
we
accident.
might just start like an empire,
Hey, I'm with
East
it.
Coast, take it from the East Coast. I mean, that's how
It's about time the East Coast has what the West Coast has.
Oh,
it's time for us to
crazy
do it.
how big it is out there and how much it's developed. Like they do shows all over the place, like movie theater parking lots.
Exactly,
and
yeah,
stuff.
like
It's
at schools, at
and
like
it's nothing like that over
which
here. It's nothing
with
like
you and
that.
Dial BMX, I'm seeing that happening here. Like
Yeah.
just last week, 877 BMX Tricks or something was right behind here doing BMX shows. Across the street from my house in Beechwood, Vinny Menino's doing a BMX show in the baseball park. Like it's starting to happen, and I see this action sports community is coming back. There's younger kids wanting to get involved in it. The parents are realizing that, hey, it's better than doing drugs. It's better than letting your kid play video games all day. Yeah, he might get hurt, but you know what? It's going to teach him character. It's going to build him up. It's going to teach him about himself. And
responsibilities and just being yourself and just having fun.
Exactly.
That's the whole point of, realistically, any sport, no matter what you do, football, baseball.
There is a different camaraderie, though, in this to where it's an individualized sport. Teams always work well. I never really worked well in team sports because I put too much pride in myself to make sure I was doing something right, and I think that's the thing that parents need to realize is that, you know, at the end of the day, you're not happy with your performance that day, whether it be at a show, just riding in general, or just riding at the skate park. You can look at yourself and say, all right, well, tomorrow I got to do a little bit better. If the basketball team loses, was it, you know, I don't know the terms of basketball, so was it the guy that, you know, threw the ball? Was it the guy that went for the three-pointer? Was it this guy's fault, the center's fault? Was it, there's so many people, you know, so many links in the chain to say, hey, here's why the team lost this week. Where in this sport, you know, you're as good as you want to be. You take it as far as you want to go. You know?
You never want to put too much pressure on yourself, and I'm the worst when it comes to that. I put so much pressure on myself, and sometimes
I've seen that because
get mad at myself for not being able to maybe do good at a show, or, you know, do a trick or whatever I'm trying to do. But the best thing you can always do is just remind yourself that the whole point of why you got into doing whatever you're doing, whatever sport it may be, the whole point is because you have a passion for it, and that you're supposed to be having fun while you do it. So as long as you're having fun, that is truly all that matters.
That's
well,
right.
if pressure's a thing though, is that why this 110 race has never happened?
No,
Because I feel like
I've been waiting.
Too much pressure.
I feel like you might feel the pressure and you don't want to lose to me.
No, because I'm not worried
Because
about that
at this
at
point,
all.
like, we got bikes, SSR hooked you up, we got pit bikes, we're on level platforms. It's not like how you were afraid I was going to run a bigger bike.
No,
We
I'm
got
not worried
the
about
same
that.
I
bikes.
got a checkered flag somewhere.
He's got a checker. I got a checker flag in the
I got one
back.
in my room.
I mean, there are places to race them. There's things to do. I think you might be a little scared.
I'm definitely not.
If I were you, like if I was a
said,
pro
man,
BMXer, I'd be scared
busy.
too.
I've been busy. I've been traveling a lot.
I know. Well,
You know, it's the first like. couple
if I
days
had
I've
all
been
these
home in a
excuses,
while.
I'd run them too.
No, these aren't excuses. These are facts. Check my
Oh, I know.
Instagram
But you know what?
account.
We're going on almost a year now. I think we got to give the fans what they want, and
Well, I'm thinking
that's
now.
you getting pushed wide
I'm
and me
thinking now
sweeping
with,
in.
with my moto ramp getting done, maybe we could set something up at the farm.
I
Set-
saw your
set
video
up a
last week. You were
course.
teaching Big Boy how to run around there.
Yeah, we'll set up a course, and then the
I'll
kicker,
tell you this,
that'll be the last. That'll
Yeah,
be
you'd
the
have
finish
won.
line jump.
You'd have won.
Nah,
man.
because we'll push it up nice and close for you.
I think though for you, with no jumps, I think you're gonna lose even more because me in the air, I'm bigger, so it slows me down. So if you don't want any jumps, that's fine. You gotta be cool with second place.
Hey, if you find a track that will let us do it, I am there.
Listen, Field of Dreams, Raceway, they said, hey, and there's 2 tracks that got little pit bike areas that I could beat you in, and Frankie can be the ultimate. We'll even let Frankie race this way. Like we'll fight for second.
No, I'm waving the flag here.
Frankie's my coach.
Oh, he's your coach, man.
He's
Well,
my
yeah.
trainer. Yeah, we're
All right.
co-trainers. We train.
All right,
each
maybe I
other.
really need Jason then. So
Exactly.
J-Law,
Yeah.
come on up to Central Jersey and teach me how to,
Yeah, you're
ride a
gonna
pit bike.
You're gonna need a J-Law move if you want to put this guy over, bro.
Did you not see what I did to Big Boy? In
I
that
saw,
race, bro.
but Big Boy rides BMX. Big Boy's not a moto guy,
So do I. I ride BMX.
yeah, but you've got a lot more of a background than he does. And he's Canadian, so they should have motocross in their blood because of Canadian motocross, but that's a whole nother series, that's a whole nother episode, that's a whole nother race. Eventually he will race me because
Whenever you
it's
want.
gonna happen.
Whenever you want. Call Nap, set it up, I'll be
Hey,
there.
we'll go anywhere. I'll race you in the parking lot.
That's fine.
Matt, we want to get bikes and race now? Because mine's at home, so.
Mine right away.
Well, it's been a very informative episode. I thank you guys for coming down. It's always cool to, like I said, to keep up to date with you guys, to find out what you guys are doing, what's coming up for the future. Is there anybody you guys would like to thank? We'll start with Frankie.
I definitely got to give a huge thanks to Tony and Sam at the Asbury Park Moto Club. You know, we wouldn't have a bike without those guys, and without you, of course. And you know, Coffee Surf, Barry doing a ton for me. You know, DeVoot House Lifters, Scott Goggles, AGV helmets. Man, the list goes on. Sandbox Kings, Automatics for the wheels I just got for my bike, Gibson tires.
it's hard without your dad holding.
Yeah, I need that.
That's I told you when you came in. I was in the sponsor list for you.
It's endless, man.
It's actually still printing, so that's why we haven't held it up.
So many people.
There are a lot of people. And how about you, Cory?
The same thing. There's so many people to thank. So many people that got me where I am and support me and keep me rolling. You know, Stumpy's helping me out. Hyper, Snafu, Vans, FP insoles, Thrill Seekers, Seat Covers, Sandbox Kings for killing my graphics. Scotty Kramer Incorporated. I made that one up. That was my first sponsor.
SCI, huh?
Yeah, exactly.
I think like half of the BMX team from Jackson is sponsored by
exactly.
SCI.
Triple 8 Pads, Def Family, Nate Adams in general. Just everybody, friends, family, everybody that supports me and keeps me going, no matter what it is. Product, moral support, you know, putting a Band-Aid on me. Yeah, putting a Band-Aid on me after a bad decision. But thank you to everybody that keeps me going.
With that being said, though, that's a long list of guys that are supporting you, and without the support of you guys watching and patronizing those companies, you know, that's what makes the whole ball go round. These guys are with a group of dedicated people behind them, so do right by them. Go buy coffee, sir.
Oh, jeez.
Get graphics.
Thank you, SSR, for sending me the 2 pit bikes that I'm gonna beat LJ with. I can't believe I even forgot that.
That one slipped past me, but really though, like, these guys put their life on the line for what they do, and the sponsors come in and realize that and hook them up. And we need guys like you to go after those companies and not only thank them but support them. Like I said, go drink some coffee, surf. Go buy a seat cover from Thrill Seekers. Buy some Def gloves. Get graphics from Sandbox Kings. You know, support the people that you look up to on a daily basis. And more importantly, come to me, and I sell half of these products that these guys are supported by, and that's why we've always had great relationships and always liked supporting people that put the work out. You know, we're going to talk a little bit in the next episode about how to keep the relationships great with sponsors, and we're going to use these guys to help you guys get sponsors. So if you want to see that next video, ask some questions on what you want answered.
And hit that subscribe button.
A lot of people have been hitting that button lately. But again, this is the first episode of MotoMouth. We hope you enjoyed it. On behalf of myself at Stumpy's, Frankie, and Cory, I'd like to thank these guys for stopping in, and I'd like to thank you guys for watching it. So until next time, subscribe and give us some ideas on what you want to learn about. We're here to teach you.